I had switched to trombone keyboard patch. And I didn't know. I just accidentally hit it. So I'm now thinking, like, what did that sound like out front? Because I couldn't hear myself by that point because the band was so loud on stage. I'm honking away on the trombone patch.
That's awesome.
And that still haunts me every once in a while. I wake up and go, oh my God.
Hey friends, welcome to the Sour Notes podcast, the podcast where musicians get curious about their inner critic, self-doubt, and the darker side of the creative process that we don't often hear about. I'm your host, Roxanne Potvang. I'm a singer-songwriter and a lifetime sufferer of my own inner noise. And every week I invite artists to share their stories and insights on this somewhat inconvenient reality. Today's guest is Erin Costelo, soulful songstress from the beloved East Coast, celebrated record producer, and now radio producer as well. Erin is a longtime friend on the scene, and in this conversation, we discover what a shapeshifter the inner critic can be. Hey, Erin.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for stopping in.
Sure.
To the Sour Notes podcast.
Okay. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
Was there a defining moment for you when you decided that you wanted to be a musician?
When I was a kid, I was the oldest kid in my family, and I had a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Both my parents worked, and so I kind of was like the surrogate mom for my younger siblings. So I'd come home from school, I'd make dinner, I'd clean the house, but the time that I got for myself was playing piano.
Mm-hmm.
So I was allowed to kind of escape those responsibilities to play music. And in a way, music became this kind of escape from the stresses of the world for me. And it became a way for me to kind of express emotion. So even though at the time I was playing classical music, and not writing my own music, I found a way to kind of express emotion through the music that I was playing. And then ultimately that turned to writing songs and writing music myself. But I do remember people asking me when I went into high school what I was going to be when you had to kind of decide what you were going to do when you grew up, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember my dad offered to buy me, we were not well off at all, quite lower middle class, I would say, offered for me to stay home and go to university and live at home and save money, that he would buy me this Volkswagen Beetle that was for sale around the corner from our house. And it had a lightning bolt down the side of the Beetle. And it was like his temptation, I think, not to just rope me into fulfilling the responsibilities that I still had, but a way for me to avoid student loans and stuff like that. Right. So he was thinking about my future. Right. But for me, it was like, I need to escape. I need to get out of here. Right. And so part of my decision, I think, to go into music and go into music at university away and specifically to study jazz performance away, is because I needed to experience the world on my own, away from the responsibilities of my family. So in a way, I feel like I regressed maturity-wise. Like I was incredibly mature growing up, and then I regressed and became more and more childlike and more party and free of responsibility, and I really needed that. Sure. And so when people would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was like, musician. Right. And they would always say, oh, you mean a teacher? I was like, no, musician. Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, I did become a teacher for quite a long time, and I loved it. Yeah. But that was not the motivation at all. It was freedom. For me, that's what music symbolized, was freedom. Right. Yeah.
I think that is the case probably for a lot of people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of when you started noticing your inner critic, or, how that was maybe affecting your motivation or your mood or your performance?
I mean, I think the inner critic is kind of built into practice. Right. So you kind of have to have that when you become a practicing musician. Right. You need to say, well, that wasn't good enough, I can do that better, or let's do that again and again. So there is a certain amount of a critique that you have to do of the work that you are performing in order to get better.
Absolutely.
But when it starts to become a value system that you place on yourself, that's when things start to become a problem. And I don't think I noticed that really until I went to university.
Right.
And I went into, like I said, a jazz program, and it became very starkly obvious that my background in jazz came much more through a pop music or like R&B soul lens than it did through jazz, although I loved jazz piano and I loved it. But I always felt like I never really fit in.
Yeah.
So I felt like this judgment of myself constantly and never quite felt like I measured up performance-wise. I would never exalted the virtuoso, you know?
Sure.
I never kind of was like, oh, that person played the fastest solo or the fastest notes and was never in awe of that. I mean, I was moved by things that like Miles Davis or like things that felt like they had really intense emotion. That's what motivated me. And it never quite fit into that jazz paradigm at school. Right. When I hit my 20s, mid-20s, graduated from university, I pushed more into composition, I think as a way to retreat from everything and the anxieties of performance. Yep. I kind of could retreat into myself that way and go back to the way I felt about music as being this escape for me. And so when I started to kind of venture back out into the world as a performer, I didn't release my first solo record until I was 30 years old. And by then, I think I had this kind of fuck it mentality, and kind of a confidence of like a bit of an arrogance of youth. Like, I know what I'm doing now. Don't tell me not to do it. I'm a woman and I'm empowered and I know what I want and no man is going to hold me back. And like all of that stuff, I had kind of built this kind of armor. So I made those first few records of my own and then records for other people with that armor kind of in place. And for good or for bad, in a lot of cases for good, because I really got to kind of have a vision. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like I really pushed people away that could have had a really beautiful impact on my growth as a musician. But I think that I was so scarred from my experience in university that I really held onto my vision so tightly. Right. And then as I got older, into my 40s, I started to let go of that just a tiny little bit. And that's when self-doubt crept back in because I could start to see a million different ways of doing stuff. And now it became indecision, you know? Right. So the self-doubt crept in because I could see that so many different ways were valid. Right. And so how do I maintain a vision when so many ways are right? And that's where self-doubt started to come back in for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I still had that.
Because would you say there was a critical aspect or an overly critical aspect of yourself in performance mode, like in university? And then you were able to let go of that when you went more into your own sort of identity and developing that?
Because I think I had a bullheadedness about the way I wanted to do things because I was like, I am taking the reins here and I am in control of stuff. Right. But it made touring and traveling really tough, I think, for the people around me because I had such a strong vision that it felt like I would be anxious if things moved sideways outside of that vision. Right. So I had so tight a control. So I can imagine the people that I played with were like, oh, she's really anxious when things start to go off the rails. Or I would come off the stage and if it didn't go perfectly, I'd be like, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Right. You know, so super critical because the vision was so strong. Right. But I think now as I've gotten older, I'm less critical of the performance. And now I just want things to feel peaceful. You know, and peaceful in a performance, peaceful in the lead up to the performance, peaceful afterwards. I cared less about what people think about me as a performer. And I care more about, it's not a people pleasing around me. I care that we all have a great musical experience. Right. And so I don't want to do it unless that's going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I play less and less.
Right.
As a result.
You play out less and less.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how you say where your critic might have been less active in those years where you were very bullheaded and very much self-directed and things. But the sort of like difficulty with flexibility and sort of seeing where things go was another manifestation of the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
You know?
I was under the illusion that I was in more control.
Right.
Which it it was like I would give up control to the anxiety of it.
Yeah.
You know, that I wanted, I was so deeply in search of the perfection of this vision in my head that I couldn't move beyond it. And also, it doesn't make for a great musical experience for the people that are playing with you because they want to please you. But if you are so rigid, you don't let people be who they are, you know?
Right. And also maybe you don't let inspiration in the
Totally.
moment happen.
Oh, that was a fearful thing for me.
Right.
Inspiration in the moment was a terrifying experience for me, which is bizarre because I came from a jazz background, which is what it's all about.
Or it should be. But maybe in that context of schooling and things like that, maybe that's not really what's emphasized. I don't know. I've never been to
Right. Well, I think it
but
could be that is the ultimate goal. But I think that I felt there's something strange about putting a performance practice like jazz in an academic environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's very difficult. And music in general is difficult to do that because you are then categorizing or quantifying the value of something that is such a personal thing. Like different people as listeners and lovers of music experience music in different ways. Two different people could love or hate something violently on either side.
Yes.
The exact same thing.
And that probably means you're doing a good job,
That does probably mean you're doing a good job. But when you go to school, there has to be some measurable success.
Yes, exactly.
And that has nothing to do with inspiration.
And also, there's also a contrast, I feel, between the need to be consistent.
Yeah.
You know, you can show up and perform consistently every time.
Yeah.
And the idea that you should also be inspired.
Yeah.
You should be in the moment.
They are in opposition with each other.
They kind of are.
Yeah.
But somehow we have to learn how to, if we can, do both things.
And the critic lives in both of those places.
Yeah.
So in terms of like fundamentals and like theoretical concepts or even just scales and our chord progressions and like stuff that is like nuts and bolts of making music, we practice those things to get better at them. So we have those tools as a foundation for our creativity to leap off of, right? But that transition between the technical and the inspired, that leap between those two things is a really difficult thing to manage. And so there is no perfection in that. And that if you are constantly judging yourself for each of one of those things individually, connecting the two is really impossible to do without that judgment there.
Yeah.
You know? But in order for it to be successful, that critic has to go away in order for you to take the leap, right?
And it's walking that line, right? Like, and that all ties into,
I feel anxiety just thinking about it. I do. But there is a knowing. If you try and mediate the lows and the highs of music by making everything consistent and kind of in the middle, then everything always kind of feels like it's in the middle.
And it's always a little boring.
It's a little boring to you. I mean, it feels good, but it's a little boring. But if you take the risk, it comes with the crazy disastrous lows where everything goes off the rails.
Yeah.
But it also comes with the exalted highs of like brilliance and genius. And isn't that what we're kind of chasing?
Yeah. You have to wonder. And I think that's a really good point, that the risk aspect is so important in allowing something magical to happen.
That's right.
Maybe.
You know, a lot of artists, because I did teach for quite a long time, there's a lot of discussion about finding your voice as an artist, you know, that we think about like, who am I? And that, especially in jazz school and music school, comes through transcribing music of others or mimicry. And I mean, singers will do that too, is how do I get that sound of this person, or how do I reach those notes, or how do I do those runs, or those kinds of things. So that mimicry becomes a part of your vocabulary. But those people who are really great, who find their voice, are the ones that have done two things, I think. One is they've mimicked so many different kinds of music that their catalog of stuff is so vast and wide that the combinations of those things make them unique.
Yeah, you can't pinpoint what's in there.
You can't pinpoint one. There's a little bit of that, and there's a little bit of that, and that kind of stew has made them unique. But they are also the people who take risk. They leap, and they don't know what's going to happen, and they are equally excited by their failures as they are by their successes, because the failures are the things that actually guide you to your own
Tell
voice.
you what's not working.
That's
and
right.
Where to maybe go next.
That's
yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah.
How do you balance having high standards for your music and not becoming overly critical?
I think I am overly critical.
Yeah. You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I have an album where there's one song on that record that I recorded 7 different versions of the song, and not 7 takes, like 7 completely different productions. I could put out a whole EP of that one song.
Right.
And so I think, and I love the one that came out. I love it. I'm
Good.
so happy that I pushed through.
You worked it through.
So the perfectionism, or it's not even perfectionism, it's like chasing something.
Yeah. It's not there yet.
But sometimes you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And that mystery is the thing that is so exciting about making albums and making music, is you don't know. Sometimes you're like, maybe it needs this thing. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And the thing that gets in the way of that is budget.
Right.
Like if you had $1 million, you could be in the studio forever and keep trying things. And to me, that would be the most joyful place that I could ever be.
Right.
To have that all the time.
So for you, the high standards are a positive thing.
Huge.
Right.
They are
the pursuit.
A complete necessity.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't even know if it's a high standard or if it's like a quest.
Yeah. An exploration.
So because like what ends up happening at the end, there might be a better version of that. Like there might be a higher standard than I put on it. It's like a quest for what is the truth in the thing that I'm trying to put out there. Yeah. And that is the thing that trumps it all, maybe, I guess.
And that's kind of the intangible.
Yeah.
It's the intangible thing. It's just like, it's done.
Yeah.
You just know it's done.
Yeah. And I've not made very many albums where I've felt like, I made one album where I felt like it's done. Everything else, I could have.
Do you find that so hard, though, to go back? Like
in the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
Because I would listen to an album just after it came out and go, this really needed that thing, or I shouldn't have repeated that part, or like that's where a self-critic would come in.
Yeah, totally.
And then I made this record called Down Below the Status Quo, and I took 2 years to make the record. And to me, when I put that record out, I felt like I've done everything that I wanted to do on this record.
Yeah, that's
and I feel like it is the record that feels complete. And then the next record I put out, I thought I need to put parameters on myself because I can't make another 2-year record. So I made a record in 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite
and
the
it was
reversal.
all live off the floor. And to me, that parameter, like sticking to that, made me less of a critic when it came out, because I thought this is a snapshot of a moment. Yeah. This is not an opus.
The intention was different.
Yeah, the intention was different. And so I didn't feel... I look back now at Down Below the Status Quo, which I thought was perfection at the time, and there's things that I would change. But there was a different feeling when I put it out where I didn't feel like that in the moment, you know? And then the next one, I didn't feel like that either, because I was so on board with the concept.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when I make another record, I have to have a parameter, or I have to let it take the time that it's going to take.
Right.
You know, I'm not really sure which of those it will be.
I want to play a little game.
Okay.
It's very simple. If you were to name your inner critic, what would you name it?
Oh, okay. That's so interesting. Asshole? I was thinking, well, would it be a name? Oh, no, I can't say a name of a person. I mean, I could say a name of a person, but I feel like it's not a personality. It's not one person.
Right.
It is a thing.
An entity.
It's an entity.
Yes.
The asshole.
The asshole. I like it.
Yeah.
With a capital A.
But assholes are kind of important. You know? Yeah. Assholes make change. You know?
So would you say you have a sort of love-hate relationship with asshole?
I think I hate asshole all the time, but in retrospect, I love some of the things that asshole has brought to the table.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, totally
In the
makes
moment,
sense.
totally hate asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
Does not feel good. No.
By the way, I this idea of naming the inner critic comes from Julia Cameron's
Oh, yeah, sure.
The Artist's Way.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
want to point that out.
Yeah.
So when would you say asshole typically comes up for you now?
I would say in different places than it used to. Like as I've gotten older, asshole comes up more now related to professional competence than it does around creation.
Okay, interesting.
So I feel very creatively, like I feel like my creative vision for things, I feel confidence in that now. And I feel like I have a confidence to allow space for others within that vision, which I don't know that I did in my 30s.
Right.
But I feel like my confidence withers a little bit when I start to worry about whether or not I am being professionally respected.
Right.
And I think that goes back to college. And also family stuff, all that stuff, you know, where you're like, I'm not being taken seriously,
right?
Or my opinions don't matter, or I feel like I've got lots of experience now. Why is no one listening to me? Like that kind of critic thing pops up, less related to my art now.
Right.
Yeah.
And what would you say happens to you when you get into that critical headspace? Like physically or emotionally? Like, what does that look like?
I think for me, it starts to look like multiple levels of questioning in my brain, like speedy brain thoughts. Did I do that? Forgetfulness. Like, oh, did I forget to do that thing? Like questioning of whether I accomplished the things that I'm supposed to accomplish. Overworking. A perfectionism that means I add more to my workload, not taking breaks, like that kind of stuff. Overdrive.
Everything.
Definitely. Yeah.
Typically around a performance, do you have certain emotions that come up before? Or is it usually positive? Do you have a lot of nerves?
I do have a lot of nerves. Yeah, I do have a lot of nerves. For me, it relates to memory a little bit. I've always had a bit of a challenge with remembering stuff. And there is a balance between your head and your heart when you're making music. So especially if you're playing your own music, I can get lost in the muscle memory or the physical memory of something and just be in it. And then if my brain creeps in, then suddenly I've forgotten where I am. And so it's the fear of that happening that I think about right before I go on stage.
Okay.
It's not whether or not I'm going to forget a lyric. It's whether or not I'm going to be able to maintain that physical connection to the thing that I'm in.
Right.
That is it.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's like fear of fear.
Fear of fear.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Does this podcast come with medication at the end? Or?
I wish. Maybe the sharing and the advice that
will be healing.
We'll
for sure.
We'll come to that.
It's interesting to talk about this though, because I've not thought of the way in which my performance anxiety or critic has evolved at all. I've not thought about that until this conversation. It's really interesting. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, because like you say, we all have it. We always have it. It's part of the creative process.
Sure.
But it's interesting as we age and as we gain experience.
Yeah.
To notice where those things.
Yeah.
Where asshole
shifting.
ends up.
Yeah.
In what categories, different categories.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk about preparation a bit. I realize I haven't really kind of included that in my questions, but. I'm thinking more and more that preparation and confidence is directly related to whether or not our inner critic assaults us as much or not.
Right.
I think for me, lack of preparation, in the past has been a big culprit of that. Just kind of magically thinking that things are going to be fine.
Yeah, sure.
And then they're not.
Yeah.
Mostly in terms of performance.
Yeah.
getting on stage
Sure.
and being underprepared. Have you always been really good at preparation and feeling ready? And like, how do you feel that relates to maybe your inner critic?
There's kind of two levels of preparedness I think that I have had. One is like an understanding of the chord progressions, memorization of stuff. And that part I can do okay, but I've struggled with memory. So I will drill that down.
Mhm.
But if I get too prepared in that way, and then I go on stage and my brain blips for a second, then it's off the rails and I hit a panic level.
Oh, yeah.
So what I've discovered is I can't do that too much. I have to practice training my ear as I'm doing stuff. So I'll practice listening and I'll practice putting on songs that I don't know and just practice playing along so that my ear is trained.
Knows
Yeah.
what the
How
chord
do I hear
is.
the 4 chord? How do I hear the 2 chord? Like I'll practice that kind of ear training stuff so that I feel prepared if my memory fails me.
Yeah.
To be able to have something that is going to kick in as a memory, as a
Sort of an automatic
response, like, ear training response.
Totally.
That preparedness, I think, is more valuable. And that's something that I think we can do all the time. And I do it all the time. And like, we'll sing a song along with the radio and then just go home in 5 seconds and go, oh, what was that chord progression of that Chapel Roan song or whatever, and play it quickly and then walk away. So it's not something that I'm sitting and I'm going to practice ear training for this next hour and a half or something. It's just something that I do constantly.
That's a really interesting point because I think that there's a giant difference between doing something mechanically, repetitively to try to drill it in versus being actively engaged.
Yes. The practice of being engaged with other musicians around you.
Yeah, but even by yourself, like being engaged with your whole body, your ear, your felt sense, like your hands,
That's a really hard thing to practice too.
But I don't think that we emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
It's more of a cerebral kind of experience for a lot of students, I think. And also like what emotions you're in makes a huge difference. Like there's actual data on this that we learn more easily when we're having fun.
Yeah, that
right?
makes sense. That makes total sense.
So what you bring up, I think, is very important because for me too, it's very true.
Yeah.
Like I've had way better success learning songs and internalizing songs when I've been in a good space mentally, emotionally, just having fun with it. Rather than the times, and it was years at a time where I was very much stuck in self-criticism and trying to do things very cerebrally. And that just didn't work. Like I would have giant gaps in memory when I tried to do that.
And then panic sets in and that self-critic. For me, it's
like a self-perpetuating thing.
Yeah, and the self-critic is happening during the performance, but there's no space for them yet. And after the performance is when the self-loathing and the dread and the self-hatred and I suck and all that stuff kind of kicks in. And if you're in the middle of a tour and you got to go do the next show, there can't be space for that self-critic, and it's really difficult in those moments to recover from that. I've made mistakes on stage and not known until afterwards, where the other band members go, "Did you know that you skipped 2 bars in this thing? Do you know that you didn't repeat the thing?" I'm like, "Oh,
you didn't sing that verse at all."
So you don't have the self-critic until afterwards. Then you're like, "Oh, crap. Oh, did anyone else notice that?"
Well, that's interesting because I think for different people it'll be, some people will notice their mistake right away and start beating themselves up and like they can't get through the rest of the song. It can really be paralyzing.
I still think about this one show. It's the CD release that I had for an album of mine called Down Below the Status Quo. And the finale of the show had horns on there and it was like a big thing. And I was standing up at the keyboard and I was playing. And afterwards in the dressing room, one of the members of the band go, "It was a really interesting keyboard patch that you chose at the very end. I'm like, what are you talking about? I had switched to trombone keyboard patch and I didn't know. I just accidentally hit it. So I'm now thinking like, what did that sound like out front? Because I couldn't hear myself by that point because the band was so loud on stage. I'm honking away on the trombone patch.
That's awesome.
And that still haunts me every once in a while. I wake up and go, oh God, there was like 300 people there and like listening to the trombone honking on my keyboard.
Oh my God. Was this pre-social media?
No, this would have been around social media.
Oh my God.
But just at the genesis of when it was getting big, I think. Yeah.
Because that's the worst, because then there's evidence of it online.
Well, hopefully the front of house engineer was like, that doesn't sound right, and like pulled it down a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Maybe it didn't stick out too much.
I hope not.
But did you notice that? I noticed this. Whenever somebody will take a video of you, it's always in your least favorable moments.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And it's my partner and I joke about this because, joke. I mean, we both get completely just upset about it because it's horrible. You go, I screwed up this song so bad, and wouldn't you know, there was somebody filming,
That happens with releases too, where you're like, oh God, this is not my favorite song on the album. And then that's the one that radio decides to pick up. That's what happens with the last 2 records.
What is that? What are we doing to the universe that it punishes us?
I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe it's the universe's way of saying everything you're doing is great, even the thing that you don't think is great.
And maybe don't take yourself so seriously.
Don't take yourself so seriously. Yeah.
Right? There you go.
And that's why I feel like for me, like touring with someone like Clive, my partner, for him, the self-critic does not exist after the show is done. Like,
oh, wow.
You should have a conversation with him about his self-critic because he really is inspiring in that way. Like he can live in a creative moment unlike anyone that I know, to the point where it frustrates me in rehearsals because he wants to practice his freedom.
Right.
And everyone else in the band wants to practice the part. And so I feel more comfortable with my part if I know what his part is.
Right.
But his point is, we're going to be free here, right?
We're making something in the moment.
We're going to be free here, right? I'm going to practice all of my shit that's going to be sounding terrible in this moment so that when I get out on the stage, it's going to be great.
Right.
And that's a terrible bandmate to have in a rehearsal because you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And so he is constantly pushing me to be living in this space of freedom, which I hate him for in rehearsals and I love him for at the show.
Right.
Love him. Love playing with him at the show because he will leap off of a building without knowing where the next building is.
And he's like, it's going to be fine.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes he splats right on the ground.
Yeah.
But there are times where he has epic moments of greatness.
Yeah.
And playing with someone like that in your band is the most inspiring person to be around.
It's exciting.
It makes it fun too.
Yeah.
Because
and for the audience as well.
Oh, so,
right? Because
so
they're
great.
Like what we were talking about before too, that element of risk and unpredictability.
Yeah.
That's what the audience is there for.
Totally. And his experience making music is so the opposite of mine. You know, mine was very regimented, structured practice, reading notes, reading music. I can fall back on that level of kind of cerebral music making as a tool to kind of comfort myself. I'm going to get through this, right? And I could fall back on that all the time if it weren't for him. He comes from like a punk rock mentality, you know, which is like, we're going to make noise and this is fueled by our emotion and our rage or our teenage angst or all that stuff is there, right? For him. And unscripted and based off of the thing that you just did and the thing that I just did. And so he has more jazz in him
I was going to say that's jazz.
I did, you know, and do really. So he's constantly pushing me and I love playing with him because of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about a show specifically that was really difficult internally? Like, is there one that sticks out for you?
A difficult show internally. It's funny because if Clive were sitting here, he probably could come up with one right away because he would remember, right, when I was feeling rough. I would say that there's been some tours in general that have been pretty challenging. And, you know, I did a tour once through Alberta. And I had a number of shows in places that I'd not played. And it was a difficult financial tour because it was markets that I had not played a lot. And so there was pretty low ticket sales in a lot of places. And I think for me, you come out of a show where you know that you've not made enough money to pay for your hotel room that night. And the self-critic is not just thinking about the music, but it's thinking globally about your role as a musician in the world.
Right.
You start to question, is this the life that I want to be having? This is too hard. What am I even doing? Do people care about this? What, am I delusional? Like all of those things start to manifest when you've got those kinds of financial challenges going into it. So that particular tour, I remember feeling that way throughout the whole thing, to the point where I finished the tour really sick. I think that I had just kind of spun myself into exhaustion with that. Yeah. I think that was probably 2017 or 2018, around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you found ways to make that better for yourself? Or not? It's okay if it's not.
That's a really, really tough question because there are things that I do. I don't know if it makes it better. I can be a bit of a control freak on the road. So in the past, I've always been self-managed. And so I'm organizing so many other elements. And so for me, that level of organization feels like some control. So I can shift my brain from the performance from the night before into logistics
What do I have to
mode.
do next? Yeah.
And that has been helpful, but probably not healthy, if that makes sense. Yeah. And having someone on the road, like I've toured primarily in these last 10 years with Clive, and Clive is like a homebody when we're home, and on tour, he is like, he leaps into can-do man. And so he does all the laundry. He'll go and get all the food. He'll like, he takes on the tasks that maybe would be kind of exhausting. So I rest. I'm able to really rest, which is really good. But it means that I don't really get to see the towns that I go to. I'm in recovery, and like I'm in like a mental recovery from the exhaustion of that night before, you know, and then getting over the thing that went wrong the night before. I don't know that I do.
No,
I think it kind of compounds through the tour, and it can be really miserable, really, really miserable and painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally hear you.
Yeah. That's the 100% truth.
Yeah.
That for me, I love performing. I love being on stage. I hate touring. I hate it.
Yeah.
There's not enough time for me to decompress and process the thing that just happened.
Right.
And feel inspired to do the next thing again, you know?
You say it compounds. Do you find yourself being fearful in the next performance of that same spot, or it's just a generalized sense of like icky?
Yeah, sometimes. I would say I'm more critical of like, oh, that the flow of this set didn't work. I felt that I lost the audience in this moment, and you know, which is a normal thing. And then you just kind of reevaluate and do it. But for me, it would feel like a crisis of like competence.
Right.
And so then I go, guys, we have to shift. What if we shift this song here? And then everyone's like, yeah, okay. But I'm like, I'm really emotionally kind of wrapped up. When your value system, like your self-worth is so wrapped up in an audience's approval of the thing that you're doing, that can feel really painful if you feel like you didn't get over.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. So that's where the judgment would lie. It would be less in like little moments of a song, because I know, well, that didn't happen 90% of the time. So it's not going to happen again. Right. Or it would be more in, am I going to connect?
Right.
In the way? Am I going to be able to have that freedom that I need in order to feel exalted, in order for the audience to be on board?
Right.
Am I going to be able to get out of my own brain?
Right.
And that is like, I don't know until I'm there.
Yeah. It's the ongoing goal.
Yeah.
But it's not easily achieved.
And it's interesting because I wouldn't call it in that moment a critic. I would call it more of like, which is, I guess it's linked. It's more fear-based.
Yeah.
Like where I want to hold the control because I don't want to make a mistake, you know? But the thing that I need to do is remove the control and feel the freedom in order to feel like I connect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when things feel like I'm unsure, I'll pull back
The
in
control comes
and
in.
I'll go back to classical musician Erin,
Yeah.
rather than the kind of jazz or punk rock Erin
Right.
that I want to be.
That's but I mean, really, like physically, that's just a natural state,
totally.
right? If you get into fear, you get into
That's
control.
right.
Like
That's right.
that's because our body wants
Yeah.
to.
And I guess that's motivated by a critic,
Yeah.
but it feels less cerebral and more physical than that. Like those feel like physical responses to me.
Well,
Yeah.
we were talking about anxiety before the show, and
Yeah.
the link between anxiety and our bodies.
Yeah, that's right.
And our anxiety lives very much in our bodies, so that makes sense.
Totally.
I had an acting teacher who had a great line, out of control, but in command.
Interesting.
And I really like that, because I think that's the idea, is you let the thing happen, but you are in command of your tools and your skill and your preparation and your confidence in order to let those things happen.
Yeah.
So out of control, in command, I think.
It's so interesting how that, and maybe this is an aside, but how that feeling can influence feel, in the way that you play.
Totally.
Right? So that feeling on stage for me of being in control resulted in me playing on top of the beat all the time.
Yep.
All the time.
Yeah,
I listen to live recordings, like, everyone's with me, right? You're all with me, right? Like, I'm leading this group. We know what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
But then when I finally felt like I was surrounded by musicians, and not that I didn't feel like this all the time, but maybe I could allow musicians that are around me to just trust that they were there with me, then suddenly everything feels like it's in the pocket. Once I felt the confidence to do that, and that's not just the musicians around me, but an internal kind of feeling of letting go. But that out of control, but in command, that's exactly what that feeling is.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting, as I've, the last few years, I've not been playing as much.
Yeah.
And going into performances now, there's a nervousness about my ability because I feel unpracticed.
Right.
But it's not like, I don't have that feeling of beating myself up over it. Like, if I make a mistake, I'm kind of okay with it. And what I'm finding is, because I'm slightly out of practice, it is opening up ways to play stuff that I was running on autopilot before, which has been really fun. So as I practice songs that I played for a decade on the road, 200 shows a year, or however many I was doing, that became like rote and lived in this physical space that were just like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Now it feels like it can still live in a physical space, but it's way more based on instinct than it is based on a memory of it.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun to kind of find these songs again.
And I think, again, about when you say it affects the feel, and what is the feel? The feel is in the body, right? So again,
that's right.
Getting out of our mind and into our body, we're able to be engaged fully in the music and in the experience.
And the audience will be as well.
Exactly.
Because they'll feel it in their bodies. Like, they can feel the anxiety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying.
Totally. Yeah.
Because you're like, you don't want to be worried about that or thinking about that, right? So it's again, it can be a bit of a self-perpetuating negative loop.
Totally.
That then transfers to the audience.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, how much, this is maybe a question for you, but how much while you're on stage are you thinking about the audience?
I would say a lot.
Interesting.
Because I haven't really been able to be comfortable on stage in many years. I think in my early careless days, it was less. But as I've become more fearful and self-conscious, for me it was self-consciousness.
Right.
On stage was the worst part. Like, for me, my inner critic looked like self-consciousness.
Right. Right.
Am I doing this right? It's like, I can't, or like, I don't know. How do I, like, I don't know. Just the lens, instead of the lens being outward, like I'm giving something, it was very much turned toward myself, and
Right.
am I doing everything right?
Right. Yeah. But I think for me, I've never felt motivated by the audience to make the music. It goes back to making music when I was a kid. It was always a personal retreat for me. And so when I would go on stage, there would be kind of a bubble that I would create around myself in order to kind of protect that feeling of freedom. And I think what I realized is when I'm falling back into my brain is when I am caring about what the audience is thinking.
Big time.
So if I can keep that bubble there, it allows me to hit that freedom feeling.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But there's a balance, right? Because if you become too self-indulgent, then the audience feels completely
you disconnect
alienated
as well.
Right?
Yeah.
And what I've discovered is, you know, as I make this radio show, everything that I've always made has been based on an internal thing. It's never been based on, is someone going to like this? You know, I've been very lucky to be able to make stuff based on what I felt and what I wanted. It's a very narcissistic kind of way of making things, right? That's the way art is.
But I think,
really.
I think, you know, I mean, if you listen to Rick Rubin and his advice, it's all about that.
Totally.
Right? Please yourself first.
Yeah, but it's a very different thing when making radio, right? Because it is like an audience first kind of thing, but it's audience first when you're talking about art, which is a very personal thing. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately, about how that relates to a live performance and how to keep that balance between those two things. And I don't know that I have the answer.
But at the same time, like I've heard an interview with Brian Wilson, and he was talking about when he was making his surf songs, it was everything to create an experience for the audience. And what I thought was interesting, but now that I'm talking about it with you and reflecting about it, I think there was probably some part of that music he was making for himself as well.
Had to be.
Because he was not a happy person.
Yeah.
And so making the surf, you know, cars,
making myself happy,
rock and roll vibe was a way maybe for him to escape his own sadness.
Sure.
But I just, like, when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, interesting. He was completely audience focused.
Right.
In what he said, you know, but then, you know, there's probably part of that was for him as well.
Yeah, sure. He was the audience.
Yeah, maybe partly.
He was the audience.
But maybe that's the case for in all cases. Maybe that's it, right? Maybe that's the balance, is that we're as much audience as the audience is the audience.
Well, it's interesting.
In a way, maybe,
yeah. The way I have talked to singers in the past is that you have to be the audience to your own voice as you're singing.
Yes.
Like you have to experience your own voice in order to be moved by it. And if you can be, and it guides you, right, through the emotion of a song, if you are engaged as the audience to what you're singing, right? And I think it might be the same, maybe it's the same way in writing.
Right. That would make sense.
Yeah, we figured it out. Right. Nice.
Look at us.
You just
We're
need
so
one podcast.
Smart. Is the vulnerability of putting yourself out there with your music hard for you?
Oh, it never was until social media happened. I mean, I'm old enough to have made a lot of music prior to the existence of social media, and then a lot of music afterwards. And the level of responsibility that is now put on a musician for self-promotion takes it away from the art making.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, that vulnerability feels like something I didn't sign up for. Is not comfortable for me. Yeah. You know, I don't mind being vulnerable in a song. And I think there was a period in my songwriting where I would lace a lot of my emotions in metaphor because I was too nervous to...
It's a way to hide a little bit.
Yeah, hide in that a little bit. And now I feel like the writing that I do is a little bit more transparent. But social media really requires... in order to be successful at it, and the people that are successful at it, have a level of veneer that they take away, but they also put a different one on, if that makes sense. There is a vulnerability, but it's not who they are. I don't understand it. I can't quite figure it out. I can't figure out the audience, like what it is that they want to be consuming. And yeah, I think the only way to be really, really comfortable with that, I think, is to just do it from a place that feels like okay for you.
Yeah.
You know? But like the manufacturing of content, it just feels like I would just rather play a song, just put a video camera on me if you want to.
I know,
Fine.
right?
You know, I don't know how to do that
Yeah.
in a way that feels authentic for me.
Yeah, I think it's really important there to feel comfortable and
Yeah.
like whatever it is you do, if you're uncomfortable, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like if it has to be in writing,
Yeah.
just do that.
I mean,
or,
the truth is I would remove all of my social media accounts.
Yeah, yeah.
Not because I feel like I want to hide, but because I feel like they don't serve me in any way. I'm not doing any service to the audience other than putting up a poster of a date that I'm going to be playing, or here's my new album. So don't really know how to engage.
Right.
But I guess I just feel like, oh, I'm so exhausted with my own voice or face, or I don't want to see my own thing anymore. You know, that's been the greatest thing about not touring is not having to see my own friggin' head on everything.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it for myself. I think for me, there's an element of self-critic that comes up in that.
I feel more critical of that person than I do of the musician.
Yeah.
Because there is a level of like, is that
it's
really
cringe.
me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So much cringe.
So much cringe.
Like the self-promotion part.
Oh, I feel so uncomfortable with that.
But I think, so I think that's where it's important to listen to that discomfort. And I mean, I guess musicians who are under contract don't have a choice to promote themselves on there. But maybe the whole point is listening to yourself and the level of comfort depending on like, because again, you could do a written post, you could do pictures. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to be crying in front of people. You know what I mean? Like, I think it all boils down to feeling aligned with what feels comfortable.
Totally.
For you. And like, that's your boundary, you know?
It's interesting though, because, you know, in the last few albums that I put out, and probably the case for you too, social media has become more and more important in the release of an album.
Oh, yeah.
It's to the point where it became, I would spend more time on the social media aspect of my career than on the music aspect of my career, which that to me is an imbalance that is not really a place where I want to be ever again. Yeah. So if I were to ever put out another album, and I hope to do that eventually, I would not do that side of it personally. I would hire someone to do that. Yeah. Just because it just takes too much mental space. It does.
My God, when I was doing social media or trying to figure it out, literally hours writing a post.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm such a perfectionist and I would get in my head. Oh, huge. Yeah. Like that would activate my self-critic in a major way. And I would get stuck.
Absolutely
hours
agreed.
Writing posts.
Same.
Insanity.
Same. Or the color of this, hue of this font is terrible. I can't put that out.
No.
What will people think of this pink versus that pink?
And then putting it out and then waiting for a response, or am I going to get one, or
how many people have responded to my thing?
Yeah, or should I take this down again? Like, I hate this. I don't want this to be out there. No, it's horrible. Yeah, I totally. I do not like it. No. But I think that's all useful information. Yeah. So that if you find that you spend hours writing your social media post, make a simpler one. Like you find ways to work with yourself. If it feels right for you, do it. Yeah. That comfort is going to go a long way for yourself and for the audience. That's right. You know, it just comes down to that.
Totally.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think we were going to go into social media, but that's that's another facet.
Totally.
Where the inner critic can definitely rear its ugly head.
Yeah.
About audience feedback.
Yeah.
Whether it's praise or criticism.
Yeah.
Do you feel that your perception of yourself or what you're doing changes depending on the feedback that you're getting a lot?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Not the art,
Mm-hmm.
but the performance, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you go out and perform, there's this bubble that we talked about where you're in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and the music, you're hoping that you feel transformed or transported during that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And to come out of it and to hear that the audience felt that too
Mm-hmm.
is a motivating thing to keep you going with
For
it.
sure.
If you feel criticism of that moment, then you're like, well, why am I doing this? I could go have this moment just in a jam space.
Right.
We don't need to be here for
and
that.
Doubting maybe your own perceptions.
Doubting your own perception of what, like, oh, I thought that was pretty good. Or actually, I've never felt like it was really good. If someone said something negative, which rarely would happen, but you could feel that they weren't as joyful as they were in the last show.
Right.
And then you question, is this just the audience here is a little more reserved, or it was probably me. I probably didn't give it as much, but I didn't feel that in the moment. So those are when the critic starts to come in and questioning whether your reality is real.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But about the music itself and the art making, that's not influenced by the world around me, really. I feel like that is like an infinite river that I can put my cup in and get something different every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't feel like it ever goes away, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need an audience to dip my cup in that river. I can do it whenever I want to.
You would do it whether there was an audience or
Absolutely.
not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've found that, especially in my younger days, I was very much dependent on outside validation.
Right.
So especially, for both the positive and the negative, but it's almost like I could only feel okay if I was getting positive reinforcement,
right.
And so I was just curious if
Uh-huh.
but I think that comes with confidence. It comes with preparation, like we were talking about before. It comes with certainly self-worth in what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that the inner critic also might be a reflection of how much you depend on the validation of others.
Yeah. For me, I think because the music making started as an escape from the world.
And it stayed that little island for you.
It did. And so for me, that validation of others in order to make music never felt there.
Right.
But the performance aspect of it, the motivation to perform feels linked to that for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Do you find the need to share music or play music, perform music, or tour is motivated by the creation of something that feels really special? Do you create something and go, I really feel like I need to share this with people now?
I think yes, partly.
Uh-huh.
But that's what I was struggling with the most as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Feeling like, is this even good enough?
Right.
To is it worth even putting this out?
Right.
Is anyone gonna care?
Why
would anybody care this little song that I made?
Interesting. Yeah.
I had very heavy self-judgment.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I think about that. Like, what was the motivation for the touring? Because to me, that was the painful part, the touring part. It was really hard for me physically and emotionally, and workload-wise is really tough. And so I think there was, when I would create something, there was this overwhelming feeling of excitement about the thing that I made.
I made this.
I made this.
Yes.
I really want to share this thing. And then it would snowball into, I got to pay this back. I got to make this money. I got to pay this mortgage. And then it would be motivated by this financial thing that would pull me along on this pedway. And then I'd go, wait. I need to get back to the making of things in order for me to want to do this again.
Right.
And so it was this cycle that would keep on going. I think a lot of artists feel that cycle. Right? Like there is the burst of creativity. There's the making of thing. There's the pride in the thing that you made. Then there's the sharing of it. And then the sharing snowballs into, I got to make enough money to pay for the thing that I just made. And then now I got to get back in and make another thing to want to keep doing it, you know?
For me, I always had a job on the side.
Right.
So I didn't have the financial pressure to keep going because of it. So, and I wanted to keep it that way because for me, I knew that it had to be only motivated by the desire to do it. And I did, for sure, when I was in the creation process, I was fully into it and fully excited about it. And, you know, there was definitely motivation to put it out.
Right.
But there was always the sort of self-doubt around, is this good enough?
Yeah.
That never really got resolved. I think for me, definitely the creativity part was always an exciting, that never went away. Like making something to this day, I cannot not make something and it doesn't even have to be music. It just is anything, like anything. I'm just a maker of things, like compulsively. The thing that I felt that I reconnect to now the most in terms of feeling excited about sharing is the songs that I feel excited about.
Right.
So I've recently started performing in nursing homes.
I love that.
And it's really reconnecting me to the original purpose and motivation. When I started playing music, I was playing in blues bands and I was playing old music that I absolutely loved. And I'm realizing that the motivation to be a songwriter, which I also really enjoyed doing, very much so, and I was very motivated to be a songwriter. I wanted to be my own artist.
Right.
I didn't want to play covers
Right.
for my whole career.
Right.
That wasn't the goal.
Right.
The goal was to be my own artist. But I think what happened in the process is that it sort of took away the joy of the songs that I loved so much and put all the responsibility on now having to write those songs and love them as much.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
so
never really, I don't think I ever really got there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so now reconnecting with, I'm playing oldies for the folks at the nursing homes. And I just feel all that bubbly joy that I did back in the day.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
So that's an interesting conclusion that I'm drawing just now, sort of.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think all the time about, I'd say I have like musician friends in my life who have two different motivations for why they do it. Mm-hmm. One is for the creation side and the other is for the live side. And those two people seem to be slightly different. Mm-hmm. Like there are people who'll make a record and then tour that record for 10 years because they just love being out on the road. They love touring. They love playing. They love connecting with an audience. And then there's the people who want to just get back in and make another record because the creative thing, I would describe myself as that more because I think, back to my childhood of that kind of escape.
Yeah.
But I would say there are musicians that I know well and know that being out on the road is the thing, that the album is a means to get them back out and back into publicity and get them back out connected with their audiences, that they love that so much. I envy those people.
Yeah.
So much.
What I envy is the ability to love your own songs so much that you're so excited to do that.
I don't know that they do.
No?
I wonder if that's a great question.
Yeah.
We should find some of those people and you should talk to them. I'm really curious because I feel like they have such judgment too.
I mean, Like,
when I sit down to play my songs, do I love them so much?
Yeah.
No, there are times where I hate certain songs.
Right. So how do you square that?
I think that's difficult because those are those moments in live performance where I am a robot.
Right.
I am not in the freedom place. And so how do I get in the freedom place with a song that I'm like tired of playing, where I've played it 100 times this year in 100 performances? I think that's pretty common for a lot of people.
Whereas the working on it and the creating it gave you all the joy. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the first 10, 15 performances are like, oh, yay, I get to play these things. I'm so proud of this thing that I made. I'm so excited. And so when I go to play it, I don't hate it.
Right.
I feel really excited about it. I feel happy about it.
Yeah.
But after the 75th time playing it, I'm done it.
You're done.
And that's where playing covers in a set really can be helpful because it can feel like, oh, what a little fresh air I have now to play this song that is something different than we normally do, you know?
Yeah. I find that the songs that we love they're the easiest songs to carry because there's just so much excitement at just playing them. They seem to unfold on their own a little bit. I don't know.
And a cover, where I was in my career, I'm not sitting and playing and everyone's singing along to my songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would be a dream. That would be motivating. Like, what must Carole King feel like when she sits down and plays "You've Got a Friend"? Like, and everyone sings along. What does that feel like? I would love to write a song like that.
And I would love to ask her the question, like, how much do you love those songs that we love that you wrote? You know, like,
do they feel disembodied? And do you feel like a separate human?
Yeah.
Can you experience it as an audience member just like we do?
Right.
Love that. But when I go and play my shows, no one's singing along to my songs. Maybe there's some guy in the back who knows the songs.
Of course. They've listened to your records.
Some might.
Yeah.
But then I go play Brass in Pocket by the Pretenders and everybody knows that. And for a moment, I feel like a rock star, you know? And that's what that's what that feels like. Right. You know? So there is a little bit of self-judgment there where you go, oh, none of my songs are getting over in the same way as You've Got a Friend. Right. Oh, will I ever write a song like You've Got a Friend? Right. For me, the performance of it was never the motivator. It was the emotional creation of the thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't give myself too hard a time.
Right.
But that moment that you feel like a rock star feels real darn good.
It's pretty fun.
It feels pretty good, you know?
Well, yeah. And for me, like, it's the excitement of, because like, I personally get so excited by the songs that I love. It's such a visceral feeling that it's standing up there and being like, isn't this great?
And the audience being connected too, where we're all together in this exciting thing that we love so much.
This.
Can you imagine having a whole set of songs like that?
Being Paul McCartney. Basically.
I did a bunch of shows where I played Tapestry, the whole album.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. Song after song.
Yeah.
The audience feels like that connected to it. Like, my God, what would it feel like to have written all those songs?
Yeah. And you don't know it, but there's probably more people than you know that have that same feeling about,
I hope so.
about
that
your
would
songs.
Be amazing.
Right?
Yeah, I hope so.
And are you working on anything, any new music now? Or
I don't feel an urgency to put anything out. I feel like I haven't quite felt the need to release something into the world yet. I have concepts, I have songs written, I have things ready to go and record and I could start. But I don't know what the thing that is holding me back is.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an idea, an inkling?
I don't know that it's a self-judgment. I feel like I'm enjoying the break from my own image of myself.
Yeah.
There is a bit of I was really both feet in the car driving towards the growth of a music career. You know, I was full in on all that. The social media, the labels, like all of that kind of stuff, distribution across the world, touring everywhere, to the point where it felt like this hamster wheel that I was just running on all the time. And the pandemic hit and I came off of that, forced to be off of that, and reflected on the life that I was leading and thought, I don't want to be in that space when I'm in my 50s. I'm 48 now and felt like I want to be having a career that feels intentional and not like I am on a treadmill. or on a hamster wheel. So that the decisions I am making are my own.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm doing them just to have a career in a business that doesn't love artists, frankly.
Yeah.
That really doesn't love artists.
What's your view on quitting? Do you ever think it's a good idea? Because there's such messaging out there that, don't ever quit.
Yeah.
You have to keep going.
Yeah. It's like those people who have long, happy marriages. They just don't get divorced.
Yeah. You just never quit, and you never know. For me, it was, you never know what the next thing might be that leads you to
That's right.
where you're trying to
And that's
go.
true. You don't. But you also don't know a lot of things in life.
Yes.
For me, it's felt like I haven't felt like I quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it sort of feels like, to me, like those airport pedways that you step on it and it just goes, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I've stepped off the pedway and I'm
Yes.
walking alongside. Like, I still see it there. I can still step onto that pedway if I want to, but I have a little bit more control about when I'm getting off and when I'm getting on.
Yes.
And I know that there is intention behind it instead of feeling like I'm just being swept away down a pedway that I don't know where I'm going.
Totally.
So I don't think of it as quitting because I'm always going to be a musician. That urge to make music and that urge to kind of be wrapped up in a creative process, that is the strongest feeling that I have
100%.
of anything in my whole life. And when I'm involved in that, that's the happiest that I am.
Yeah.
The touring and the career as a musician, that's a completely separate world.
And when I say quitting, I'm always kind of, I feel like I don't have the right word because there's no real other word than that.
I know what you mean.
Because I feel the same way you do.
Yeah.
I say like, oh yeah, I quit in 2021, but
what if you say I quit the business?
Well, I think
music?
It's more that. I think it's more like you say, you got off the treadmill.
Yeah.
You stopped the pursuit of that goal that we're all supposed to have, or something that feels like it's an external goal rather than coming from
panicked pursuit.
Yeah.
Where it feels like there is something in the industry that makes artists feel like they have to be doing these certain things in order to be taken seriously as an artist.
Yeah.
And that is just not true.
Yeah, it's a complicated idea when it becomes entangled so much with how you make a living.
Yeah, and self-worth.
And your identity.
Totally.
And the way you're perceived socially.
Yeah.
So it's very much worked into so many parts of your life.
And it's really difficult, especially as you shift from emerging into mid-career and mid-to-career into more established. And I would say I was somewhere in the mid-career kind of world, moving towards the established world, but felt like the deeper you get into it, the more entangled you are with all these other aspects of quote unquote business, where you start to validate yourself based on numbers or success in that way. And you start to forget about the music making part of it. Yeah. And it's really easy to get pulled into the self-judgment around that.
Yeah.
And that's really a painful place to be. And so moving away from that has been really joyful for me.
Yeah. Good.
Really, really great. Yeah. And it's been great to like know that I made the right decision by having zero feelings of jealousy of anyone being successful.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good indicator, yeah.
Yeah, I know that I made the right choice because friends who have gone on and become more successful or have more opportunities, I'm so happy for them.
Right.
So there is no I don't feel like I made the wrong choice. I have 100% made the right choice. And maybe I'll step back onto that pedway again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and you know, as we've been saying from the beginning, it's all about seeing where things go, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Let's go back to our young selves.
Okay.
If you could talk to a younger version of yourself, what would you tell them about self-doubt, the inner critic, and what you've learned about it?
I think when I was really a lot younger, part of the reason that I felt like I needed to use music as an escape, it was like we'd moved around quite a lot when I was a kid. And so it felt like a way for me to cope with my emotions. So I could go home and play Benny and the Jets and feel really excited for a moment. Or I could go and play Bridge Over Troubled Water and sob if I had a bad day or something. Like I could use music as a way of processing my emotions. Yeah. And what I would say to my younger self is that you will do that for your entire life, and that you are learning a skill that you're going to use for your whole life. And that my self-doubt in social situations, because I was very, very, very shy, I would say take the confidence and the vulnerability that you feel in the performance of one of those songs for yourself and take that into your social world. That is the thing that is going to connect you to people, is that vulnerability. Because I think that I was so shy, because we moved around so much, connecting with people was a challenge at the beginning, like making friends, that if I would let that guard down just a little bit quicker, or talk more openly to people, that I think that I would have connected with people quicker. And that is the thing. And that took me until my 40s to kind of figure that out.
Right.
You know?
It's a journey.
Yeah. To letting people know that you're flawed.
Yes.
Being okay with people seeing that.
Not trying to hide them.
Yeah. That is part of what makes you great and makes you you. And that self-doubt, there's no need for it because everyone feels it.
Right.
That if you just show the thing that you're scared of everyone seeing, that is the thing that they're going to love about you.
I feel that. And I saw a post about that exact thing this morning on Instagram. Yeah. It was a Brian Eno quote.
Okay. Yeah.
And he said, show the thing, like accentuate the thing that you're embarrassed about, because that will become your signature.
Oh, that's so hard though.
It is so hard because the first thing we want to do is hide it or modify it or
I want people to like me. I don't want them to
somehow.
see the thing that is like I view as my unattractive quality.
Right.
You know, whether it be physical or emotional or whatever it is. I don't want you to see this thing that makes me not perfect.
Exactly.
But that thing is the thing that will make people like you and the thing that will make great art.
Isn't that a mind fuck?
It's a mind fuck.
Holy shit. Has music ever surprised you by teaching you something you didn't expect?
Oh. Here's something that really surprised me. Taste is like it ebbs and flows, right? And that I think music has taught me to be open-minded. And there would be music that I would say I hated when I was younger. Oh, I hate that kind of music. Don't ever play that for me. That's because music is in a way kind of tribal, right? Like I like this kind of music. So do you? Okay, great. Now we are friends.
Can be friends,
because we like that. We're of this world, you know? I'm a rocker. Are you rocker? We're a rocker together, you know?
Yeah.
And that mimics the way the rest of the world is in everything.
Right.
And so if you can be a music lover of all kinds of music, which I feel that is what is kind of happening in the world now, where genre is becoming more and more blurred.
Yeah.
And I love that about what's happening in music now. And if we could get to that in the way that we look at the rest of the world and being open-minded about stuff, my taste has surprised me. Like, I would think when I was younger, I hate ABBA. Ooh, gross. I hate ABBA. I don't ever want to listen to ABBA.
I still don't love ABBA.
And now, but you might in 10 years. You keep open-minded, you know? Now I listen to it and go, wow, those arrangements are unreal, you know? So allow yourself to change your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really deep.
Yeah.
And that's a very cool example of how music can teach you so many things about life. Like I've found that consistently that music or learning music or studying music, there were so many parallels between what makes music and what makes life.
Yeah.
completely.
Absolutely. And like allowing yourself the grace to change your mind when you want to, it allows you to engage with a career in music however you want to.
Right.
Too, right?
Yeah.
You can change your mind. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it however you want. You know?
Thanks, Erin.
Yeah, thank you.
This was great.
This was really fun.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
I'll talk to you later.
That's it for today's episode of Sour Notes. Huge thanks to Erin Costelo for sharing with us. You'll find all links to our guests in the show notes. If this episode resonated with you, you can follow us on Instagram at sournotespod. And don't forget to leave a review. It helps more musicians find the show. See you next time. Sour Notes is a Flipped Canoe production, editing by me, Roxanne Putway.